Hello, everyone, or in our case, the one, Roberto. Hope you're all doing well. So, Roberto, you have a challenge on your hand, you say. Roberto says, Roberto, first of all, let me know the regular protocol: age, gender, where you're tuning in from, which city, country, how old you are, and so on. Well, we know the gender, and also how old is she? Tonight I I get caught off guard, meaning I don't have any tea, and I know what I can have. While you respond to me, I'm gonna get myself something nice to drink while I talk to you guys. So let me know your age, gender, and where you're tuning in from, and also her age and her background, like where she's from. I'll be right back. Roberto, until I get that information, I can't discuss what you want me to discuss. So get on with it and let me know where you're tuning in from and how old you are and how old she is and where she is from. Otherwise, we just go to another question. We have what hieroglyphs, hieroglyphs. Wait, that was a tongue twister. Says I would say what? Oh, you're talking to Roberto. All right. Everybody, remember, I need to know your age, gender, where you're tuning in from. Don't forget. If you enter, you need to put that in, if you will, please, because that helps me to know how to address you, helps me to know a little bit about your cultural background, and that helps me to know how to address your issue. And the age is very important. So get on with it, guys. Yeah, there we go. That's pretty good. Do you guys hear me at all? Can someone tell me if you guys hear me? Why is nobody responding to what I'm asking? What's going on here tonight? Should I say goodnight? Finally, someone who knows about the protocol on this channel. Mazagarol. All right, we go to Mazagarol. Says 34 male Australia. Thank you for that. I don't know if you have a question. It says the problem with losing someone you love so much is that they can tend to remain in your memory for a long period of time, even when you have found someone else. It can be tough. Okay. There's no question here, is there? So you guys are just making comments with no questions tonight. All right. Nova says hello. Hello, Nova. Nova, don't forget the protocol, please. Tonight we have an autopilot program. Everybody's talking to each other. So I'm just having my drink here. It's actually good. I mean, I would love to be at the time that we have enough subscribers that we just open up the forum and they go at it, help each other, and that's very good. So I guess I'll just take a short break, short nap until I'm called upon. I think Roberto just put his question in and then went for a coffee or something because he hasn't read what I asked. He didn't heard what I asked. Mazakarol says, sorry, Maran, referring to my previous comment, what I meant to ask is that does this make it difficult to start new relationships, in your opinion? No, not at all, because you're thinking that if you think about something, some relationship in the past, you're supposed to suffer. Why? I think when I counted, I had over 50 girlfriends in my time, short and long, sometimes maybe just quite short, sometimes long, and double that uh, romantic um, um, ex- um, um, situations with maybe about 100. And these memories of the ones that didn't work or whatnot, or the ones that you would have liked, you may have liked it to last much longer, but somehow they came to their um, limited duration, as everything else does. It's been pumped into your heads that when you think about some relationship in the past, you should suffer, you should be sad, you should, be depressed, disappointed, cry, or miss it. Why? Why can't be a jubilation? Why can't be a reflection of your life? That this is how I filled my life. And one of the episodes, chapters of my life, was about this girl, this relationship. And I'm thinking about it. And naturally, human psyche goes for the positive events and positive memories of a relationship and doesn't like to dwell or focus on negativity or the unhappy parts of the relationship, which is a blessed trait of us human beings. Otherwise, if you would remember, all the bad things that happens to us or we experience, we would not have an easy time. We will always be, you know, nervous and and angry and frustrated. But we usually forget the bad stuff and then go on with our lives. So at one point in time, when you happen to remember the past relationships, and you naturally will go for the positive and happy and pleasurable parts of that scenario, why don't you enjoy it? Instead of putting a damper on that wonderful occasion to have a oxytocin, mental oxytocin, by remembering the good things about that relationship, remembering the good things about that girl, and then feeling good about it and enjoying that memory, and then go about your business. Like, understand that this is a memory, like a good book that you read, or a book that you read, and you're reading the good chapter of it again to get enthused or excited or encouraged for, or get some energy for whatever it is that you want to do. Maybe you had a bad day, so start thinking about some good thing that happened in the past. And some of those good things that happened in the past could be a relationship with your ex-girlfriend, some ex-girlfriend at some point in the very past. I still can remember the first time I fell in love. Yeah, I was a kid. I was a child, and we were in a resort with my parents, and this girl was a blonde, blue-eyed girl, very beautiful in my opinion. And I think she was from some Scandinavian countries, that they were happened to be in the country that I was born and raised, and they happened to be in the same resort. And we were playing badminton, and when I think about it, I just smile comes on my face, and it's such a beautiful memory. Just, no, nothing at that age over just the emotional expression would have existed in that relationship. But that by itself is something that I still remember. So why should I try to cover these up and think, oh, I shouldn't remember any of the past relationships because I don't have it now and I should suffer? No, why should I choose to, when I think of such memories, add the emotion of suffering and sadness to it instead of emotion of, wow, that was a good experience, that was interesting, especially when I'm thinking about the good parts of the relationship. And then when I enjoyed my memory, I will just remind myself how it ended and the problems with it. If I feel very you know sad about not having her, not being with her anymore, I quickly remind myself of why it didn't work out, and then I'm all good. But you shouldn't even get there to think that you're sad or whatnot. You should enjoy the good part of the memory and go on. It's like a boost to your day. You know, sometimes you're tired of your day and you sit down and have some tea or some beverage and some juice, and you enjoy, rejuvenate and get on going. Sometimes you do that in your mind. Mental memories bring you that energy, and a good memory of a part of your relationship with your ex-girlfriend should be a positive thing rather than has to be something sad. Oh, what? It's life. Everything has a duration in this life. Everything. You can't be eating food all the time. Maybe half an hour and you end up, filling up, and that's the duration of it. You can't be watching a movie for 20 hours. I'm not talking about binge watching, but I'm talking about that one movie. Everything has a duration. You do exercise, there's a duration. Relationships, they all have durations. If you didn't end the relationship, how would you go on? What is the meaning of going on when a relationship doesn't end? You are in a different level of consciousness at every part of your life, and at that level, at a certain level of consciousness, you happen to find things compatible with another consciousness. So you and her get together and get a little bit more acquainted and become closer, and then it becomes a romantic uh, relationship. But as you grow, your consciousness also changing, and her consciousness changes. So when these two consciousnesses has grown apart enough, then the relationship begins to end. And that is part of learning process and growth in our life. And then you go on, find somebody else who has now more things in common with where the stage your consciousness has developed to, and her consciousness and your consciousness now can bond. Until that kind of gets, you outgrow that, and then you guys again seem to find yourself on different paths, and then again that relationship breaks up, and then you find somebody else who is at a different stage of life like you are, and you find things more in common with that person. So every time you're learning something and you're advancing further, but you can't be advancing if you guys are growing apart on consciousness level and still want to stick together. It wouldn't work. And so it didn't work in the past with other relationships, and that's why you moved on. Now, if you think about it, you're not supposed to think about it with a frowned face. You can think about it as that was part of my life, that it was enjoyable at that stage with that understanding, with that conditioning in my consciousness, and now I have moved on. And that was how I ended up to be where I am today, by all these steps that I had to go through, and they helped me to grow these experiences. So enjoy the experience rather than thinking about, oh, I should have possessed it, I should have had that. I have to have ownership. I should have this all the time. That's the sad part of it, that you can't understand that life is a river and it's moving, and not all the time you should supposed to be standing right where that river is. You got to go with the current sometimes, and the current in relationship is very important. If you outgrow each other, you break up, and that's healthy, that's normal. So when you think about it, you're not supposed to be sad, oh, it didn't work. Well, yeah, that's why you can move on. Because if you think about every step that you take is a destination, you will never take the next step because I got my destination. That's here. Everything is perfect here. No, you keep on, and you find somebody that you find compatible, then you walk together until to the point that maybe now it's uphill, and that person's abilities eventually dies down, says, okay, I can't climb any higher than this. That's when consciousnesses are not so compatible. So one will say goodbye and move on, and the other one goes on a more level path. And through this journey of walking together and then separating path, we advance and we learn. You're not supposed to be, I found her and now we're going to go through all that together. Yeah, that would be great. But it doesn't happen all the time. So when you think back about these relationships, look back at them with a smile and happiness and gratitude, rather than envy, anger, and I don't have it. Oh, wow, because all mixed up with your imagination of ego and ownership and uh, you know sex and all that. It's not all about that. Okay, anyhow, I hope that makes it clear. Mazakerol. Singtivity. This is Male 28 USA. This is hello, Meran. I have a question. Why everyone in my big family talks about luxury things, big houses, nice cars, and what their kids do for living? It's so boring to hear them talk about um, external things. It's so boring to hear them talk about external things. They don't talk about life or focus on connection. I feel like I'm the only person who is different in my family. I feel out of place. Sometimes it makes me feel insecure and not good enough. Is it because you haven't accomplished the things that you wanted to accomplish? Is it because you don't have some of the stuff that they're talking about? Is it because you tried and it didn't work? Or is it because you actually don't care to have them? Be honest with yourself. If you think that you tried and you want those things but hasn't happened, then these sort of talks bothers you. But if you're on the way to getting them and you want to get them, then it wouldn't bother you. But if you're thinking that they're giving you a hint with these discussions that why aren't you striving for such opportunities and such assets, then of course that's hindering your style. And sometimes people become bored about these sort of talks because their family has all these things. It's not a novelty to them. They already have a big house, they already have lots of money, they already have nice cars. And so you have the luxury of thinking, "Oh, I don't, what's the discussion about this? What's so important about it?" Because you have it. You can afford to make fun of it or not wanting it. But if genuinely you are in your own right comfortable and making money and and successful in somewhat to your whatever you expect, then don't give a shit about what they say. That's their opinion. Maybe they're trying to encourage you to get to the level they are. Maybe they are just talking about what they like. You don't have to take them as if it's a lesson or a hint to you. And you're bored about it, well, tolerate it, socialize. You know, just say, yeah, they're all nice things, but there's so many things that we can have. So what are we going to spend our life just to get stuff? I think at one point when we have enough things, then we should then focus on some other things that we are here in this life to explore, such as our own psyche, learning about ourselves, maybe being accommodating some assistant to others, less fortunate ones, and then you can change the conversation that way. Otherwise, you don't have to take it so seriously. They can talk about whatever they want to talk about. And you should never think that you're not good enough because they're talking about the things that you don't have. So what? There are lots of things in this world I don't have. I wouldn't mind having them, but I don't have them. I mean, with the 24,000 subscribers, obviously I can't have the stuff I want to have. But what I'm trying to say is that, but there are lots of things that I do have and others don't have. But the art of life is not about comparing what you have with what others have and what you have with what they don't have, or what they have that you don't have. None of that shit matters. It's about what is it that you think life means to you and what makes you comfortable. And you got to be wise to the economics of life. We all need to have certain comforts, certain amount of money to be able to write our own tickets. Look at today. The more uh, dependent we are on the government's wills, the less fortunate we are. We got to be bending to their wills. But the more well to do you have, or at least to a certain point, that you don't have to put up with the stuff that is being forced upon people at one time or another for one reason or another, then you will regain your independence. So, a certain amount of economic independence is very, very important. And you need to, if you haven't, be able to bring that balance that you don't have to be like your family is talking about. You don't have that interest, but you got to have a certain kind of independence. And that, unfortunately, in this life comes with having some stuff and abilities to do money and assets and things that you could at least not be hanging on to the government's will. Because you know what governments are, they're human beings, they're people, and they are greedy as the rest of them, and they are weak and power hungry, and they have egos and they want to prove that they are somebody. How? By oppressing others. This is the story of most governments. So you need to create that independence that you need in order to not to have to put up with the shit that you don't want to put up at one time or another in life, depending on what the situations are. All right. Singh says, I have accomplished and making good money in accounting career. I just don't value these things as much. More power to you. That's perfectly fine. As long as you can keep your independence by having taken care of the basics and the economic independence and comfort. So, as I said, you don't have to bend to anyone's wish, including the government's or the family. Then you can have independence of your speaking and your opinions and so on, because you really don't give a shit about what they're interested, and you don't have to be. You can just tolerate it, socialize. You don't have to come out and say, "Hey, you guys are talking about this all the time." Let them talk. What happens? You do what you want to do. You do what you want to do. You don't have to prove to them that you are in agreement with them or not agreement. From one ear in, one ear out. But just be pleasant. Just be diplomatic. You don't have to, you know, rise up. Oh, you're saying something that I don't agree with it. Yeah, you don't agree with them. We don't agree with many things that are happening in this world right now. At the moment, everywhere. So much shit going on. Hmm? But we gotta do what we gotta do. You know, human being in the history, throughout history, has always tried to bully, uh, dominate, manipulate others because they're all cowards and weak people. That's what they do. Strong people are kind, are observant of other people's freedom. Otherwise, how do we grow? How do we become really civilized? Just the word, oh, we are civilized. We have Sun Tzu. No, they're just jackasses that we've been 1,000 years ago. Not me and you, or many other wonderful people in this world, but the elements that are doing what they're doing right now obviously tells you a story. Story, it's not worth mentioning, I guess. And Mazakaral says, "Thank you, thanks for that brilliant answer, Meran. It made a lot of sense. Lots of sense. Okay, good, great. You're welcome. My pleasure." Rahul says, 34 male, India. Hello, sir. Hello, Rahul. Says, focusing on my work, not communicating with her yet. My family is very upset with my wife's behavior, though I felt to call, but will control for a few more weeks. You must, you must, you must, you must, you must control. You must not invade her space at the moment. Even if she ever comes back to you, still do not invade her space. Let people be independent while you guys are dependent on each other. That would be a good recipe to have. By preserving your independence to a certain point, you can depend on each other without um, discomfort. Yeah. Mm. It says, how can she is in control of her emotions and I'm unstable in my emotions? Because you want something and you want her and the order that you had in your life as it was just a while ago. You want the order back because your brain is not finding security when the order of things that you've been used to has broken, and you think you are the order of your life. Therefore, because it's broken, you think you're not. You're disrespected. You're this, this and that. All that shit now going into your arm, to your head. Now you want her back in order to prove your power and your balance and that you're in control. And put all that shit aside. Don't worry about it. If you care about your family, care about your daughter, and as I mentioned before, be the best father you can be for her, and leave your wife alone right now until she also has gone over that period of nobody's bothering me, he's not around, and she starts forgetting and forgiving and start consoling herself that, okay, he did something bad, he apologized for it, and what am I getting out of this? Things are not the same for her either. See what comes out of it. If she's in the positive mode and if she's um, um, honest about it, she would come back and make the family work again. If she's hurt, which she probably is, because that has made her feel devalued, disrespected, um, she may need some time to recover from it. And eventually, with your positive behavior and leaving her alone, only when she needs something, you would be there for her, you would provide it, you do as much as you can without intrusion in her life, without getting in there using excuse to say, okay, I'm here now, let's get back. Just leave it to her. Your shadow is there, and after a while she feels the shadow, but then she starts missing the actuality of you. That's the time that she will possibly contact you. And if she doesn't, well, there's something more than that is wrong, and then you will know by then. But at the moment, leave it be. All right. Don't think she's not emotionally unstable. She said something like that, and but definitely she's in the turmoil as well. Definitely, and you will know in a few weeks or not. If she continues that, then you do not approach. Do not ask for her to come back. If she is not, she's already asked you to stay away till she figures it out. And few weeks goes by, a month or two goes by, she still doesn't come back. Don't invite her. Now it's up to her because you've complied to what she asked. You've apologized, and it was a bad thing you did. But she would have to decide: is it bad enough to sever the whole marriage, or is it something that she can forgive and forget and then try to start new with new policies and behaviors? You will find all that later, but at the time, you don't need to push. The more push you do, the worse it gets. You need to, as I said again and again, you need to let her feel your absence and then start missing the very thing that she pushed away for a certain reason. So hang in there. Just focus on your work and be there for the daughter. I don't know if she's still in the same city or not. If it's already been 2, 3 weeks, maybe you will send a bit of a flower, nicely arranged, not by yourself. Have it delivered from the flower shop close to her. I guess she's not in that city anymore. She's moved somewhere else. I think that's what I remember you said. So you'll just send something like that with a note. I hope you're safe and healthy. I'm always here should you need me. That's it. And a gift for the daughter, a package. That's it. Nothing else to be said. All right. Royal Doyle says, why would passion change over time? Royal Doyle, what happened to the protocol? God damn it, you're the older one of the older ones. Like you've been here before. So regardless if I know you or not, put that 3 bits: age, gender, where you're tuning in from, like Rahul, 34, M, India. Three little things. I'm Miguel, 31, male, USA. Thank you very much. Miguel, where in USA? USA is a big place. 320 million, 50 states. It's 50 states, isn't it? Um, Miguel says 31, male, USA. Hello, Mehran. Hello, Miguel says 8 months. 8 months after my breakup, I still can't seem to move on from my ex. After therapy, focusing on my career, dating multiple people, I feel like I still want him back. Oh, I'm sorry, Miguel. Am I reading you right? You are a male, and also you're in relationship with another male. Is that what you're saying? Okay. Well, you need to focus on the fact that you haven't even tried to move on. Even you've dated other people or went for therapy and focused on your career, but you never actually focused on those new possibilities. You still had this same, you did not focus on the reasons that why you guys separated at all, and you still had the same kind of a interest in getting back to the relationship that broke, rather than when you were going out with new people trying to actually connect in the level that you wanted to connect. So wanting to go out, wanting to move on is one thing. Leaving behind what you're moving away is another thing. You got to have that intention of wanting to leave behind and then moving on. Have you seen a child when there's a toy that he or she is playing with? And if you just drag the child away while one hand is still stuck to the toy, it's not a good experience, as not really willingly the child is looking forward to play with another toy. So having the old relationship in mind and thinking about that while trying to move on, it doesn't help you to move on, because you're there with the new people you're trying to get to know, but your mind is not there. Your body is, but your mind is still in in interaction with the memory of what used to be. So that means you don't have that focus to actually analyze who you're talking or socializing with and see if there are things in common or not, and things like that. So you gotta first figure out if you have figured out why things didn't work out, the reasons that you're not compatible, and then come to a closure as far as, yeah, these are the reason why it didn't work out, and you tried. I guess both of you tried. It didn't work out, and then you guys broke up. Just because you haven't found someone as suitable as how that relationship was at the beginning, it doesn't mean that there wouldn't be another one that is better relationship than this one. But if you keep having your mind in the past, you will never be able to go forward. It's like trying to run a, I don't know, a track meet, and you keep looking at the back. How can you really go? You're going to crash into something, not knowing where you're going, and you won't have a direction. So you, by looking at the back, you don't have a good direction to go toward something that you hope to achieve. So forget about the past first. Want to go forward by thinking about things that went wrong and it's not going to work out, and separation and differences between the consciousnesses, and then look forward, and then with interest look for moving on, rather than just hoping to move on while you still want to trick yourself that I'm not ready to move on, but I want to. Look, that didn't work out, so what do you want to do? Sit around and cry? Move on. Make another life. That's the end of it, really. Honestly, you got to be tough on yourself. All right, Miguel from Texas, thank you for that. And Bibi Lulu. Bibi Lulu says 26 female UK. I love the name actually. Bibi Lulu, 26 female UK says, why is guy being mean to me days after breakup? Never been mean to me before. You broke up? You told him to go? Did you break up? Bibi Lulu? I wait for that answer so I can continue your question. Royal Doyle still hasn't responded. Oh, there it is. Male 26, Missouri, right? MO, Missouri. Okay. Bibi Lulu says, no, not Bibi Lulu. Royal Doyle says, why would passions change over time? Depends on what you have based that passion on. If that passion was based only on physical level, it will fade away because physical pleasure, it's about novelty, it's about intimacy, sexual desire, and no matter who your girlfriend or wife would be, even if it's Raquel Welch, at my time Raquel Welch was the hottest thing ever. Or today, maybe not exactly today, but a little further on was Sharon Stone, as hot as she was. Or today's, who's the hottest today? I don't know who it really is. Uh, Whoever it is, this whole business of novelty and the intimacy and sexual desires eventually levels off because it's like a tasty chocolate cake or some kind of a amazingly tasty cheese or chocolate, some kind of a pastry that you try for the first time and you go nuts about it. Then you next day you'll have it, and the next day you'll have it, and the next day you'll have it. And after about 10 days having it, you kind of don't think it's really that tasty anymore. Why? Because it's about the taste buds, and taste buds got used to it. Same thing. It's about this sort of a anomaly and something you've never experienced on the physical level, and you see this beautiful woman, and then after a while, you've been with her, and then nothing else was able to enhance that beauty, such as mentality, bonding on consciousness level, understanding each other's values, understanding each other's limitations, trying to learn about each other's consciousness and psyche. None of that was added towards that honeymoon period. Then the physical relationship naturally will run its course. Like you got used to that taste of that cake. No longer is exotic. And then nothing else is added to it. So when you guys are interested in someone and you have a relationship, that initial interest of romance is mostly lust, physical. And you will tolerate lots of things. But in that initial period, you need to understand and focus on finding things compatible, finding common things, and bonding on conscious level, rituals, activities, things that brings you closer mentally, and then that physical relationship would not run its course so quickly, or if ever. At least it will be very helpful. And this is some of the explanation I could give you. Why would passion change over time? There are different levels of love, and if you don't allow a relationship to explore and find those different levels of love, and if its only foundation of and its basis is formed on one kind of a qualifications or ingredients, being physical, you know, interaction, then it will die down. But there are different levels that you can cultivate, and then you will have a complete package which would have a longer shelf life. Miguel says, "Thank you, you're quite welcome." And Royal Doses wasn't talking about. Then you become clear because I can't guess what you're talking about. Either make the sentence clear, like give me an example. Passion reduces in what? In sports, in something you like, in something you do, it's in your job, it's your cause, it's your relationship. You know, if you don't, since this program is about relationships, then I naturally assume that it's about relationship. So, Royal Doyle. All right. So now, let's see who we have here. Bibi Lulu has not responded to me if she's the one who broke up with the man, with her boyfriend or not. Morgan Freelancer says, "Hi, Meran, male 28, Ireland." Says, "What's your opinion on OCD and pornography addiction and how these two things combined can significantly warp your mind? How do we beat addiction?" Thanks. Well, there are a bunch of different questions here that I don't know how you want to relate it. Are you talking about OCD or HOCD? Are you talking about habit of watching pornography that brings addiction? Are you talking about how we beat addiction? Any addiction? What kind of addiction? Is it addiction to drugs? Is it the fact that anything that you do a lot of, such as compulsion for the obsession in an OCD case, creates dopamine, and after a while, you're not doing the compulsion for the obsession only, you're doing it to get the dopamine. Dopamine brings addiction to you, and after a while, you're not even doing it for the dopamine anymore. You're doing it the fact that it's become your habit. So these are spectrum of questions. It's not clear to me what really you are asking for specifically, because I gotta shorten the answers as much as I can. So I need the specific question in order to be able to do that. Otherwise, Morgan, it'll go for an hour trying to cover all these things. So help me out here. Sam says, "What would you say to a single 28-year-old male who's found deep intimacy and connection with a girl who works as an escort?" Excellent question. That won't go anywhere unless she's also into you as much as you said. So men are very visual, and pretty much all it takes for a girl to be good looking and show up. And then we give all other credentials that they don't necessarily deserve or are experts in certain kind of a behavior. We give it to them because we like them, because they look beautiful, because they turn us on. Therefore, we become weak in the presence of possibility of pleasure, intimacy, and we are programmed for that. Heterosexual male is programmed to be interested in women, their femininity, their touch, their attention. And as soon as we see someone that attracts our attention with her beauty, we also endow her with all kinds of other credentials that she knows nothing about, and she has not shown any indication that she's really good at them, such as compassion, such as kindness, unselfishness, morals, and all other things that could be important to you. But we give it to them. Why? Because we are trying to express our interest in her, so we accept anything that she dishes out as being special until you get that sexual intimacy level. You get to that level with her, and then after a while you start paying attention to the things that really makes a relationship work, which are mostly on the consciousness level. And then the problems start if then you find out that you're not compatible. So you need to find out if you are your interest in her is on consciousness level or is on physical level, because on physical level we are interested in almost any female that has some beauty about her or generally meets our expectations, aesthetic expectations. So you got to find out what level is it that you're interested in, and if she's also interested in the same way towards you. If it is, then it's a matter of if she would like to have a discussion with you in regards to if she wants to continue that or not, because obviously um, that's not going to work if she wants to continue that line of profession while she is trying to have a committed relationship. Unless you're like this guy that I saw in the movie I was watching last night, and the movie is quite funny, and the name of that movie is is the name of that movie. What was it? It's A Million Ways to Die in the West. A Million Ways to Die in the West is on Netflix, and there's exactly what I said. A a character, but of course this is being funny. I don't mean to be disrespectful to your lady. It's just meaning that unless she wants to let that business go, it would not be a successful relationship, because then it would be like this guy's character in this movie that uh, the girlfriend was continuing that line of work, and he was all fine with it. So that's basically what I'm trying to say. So I don't know if that was helpful to you or not. I don't know if you understood or not. I hope you did. Rahul says, thanks a lot, sir. You're quite welcome.
Messenger video.
Sorry, guys. Okay. 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 Here we are. We're back here. So where was I? Okay. Aman says, "How am I caught up? Yeah, I guess I am." No, Aman talking to Bibi Lulu. And Bibi Lulu never got back to me, so I guess she doesn't. Royal Doyle says male 26 Missouri. Okay, we got that one. Royal Doyle says just in general, wasn't referring to any specific passion. Well, no, I can't answer that because my passion for what I'm doing, it's now over 10 years, has been escalating even further, never back down. Because in something that you really love to do, you will, it depends if you just want to enjoy the passion or you want to add to your knowledge about that, what you're passionate about, to be better at it, to be more helpful about it, or to be more expert about it, which then entails research and advancement. And that research and advancement is moving on, moving forward, advancing, which itself has new satisfaction through knowledge and more satisfaction through being able to use that knowledge to whatever it is you want to accomplish, helping people or whatever else it is. So that brings it to a new level of passion. And that passion continues to grow. But if you just use whatever it is that you do and you don't advance in it, you just keep repeating it, becomes repetitious, and regardless of how much you like it, you want. Imagine like you're baking a cake and it's very delicious, and everyone says, "Wow, wow, wow!" So for everyone that comes to your store and tries it for the first time, they will love it. They will love it for the next 10 times. But the ones who have already passed that 10 times, or yourself have tried it so many times, no longer you think it's that good. Why people really think it's that great? Because you didn't advance. But if every day you come up, or once in a while, every month or every few weeks or whatever, you come up with a new cake or new recipe, or add something to this already great cake, and you make it even better, that interest and that passion will advance because you're advancing what it is that you're passionate about. So I guess there's a direct correlation between what you're passionate about, and if you're passionate about advancing what you're passionate about, or you're just interested to use it until it becomes normal, no longer an anomaly or something that you could be passionate about because it's an old news now. You got to keep it fresh by research, learning, education, or adding to it, enhancing to it, so on and so forth. It's pretty much same philosophy that most advertisers in the old times, as much as long as you remember, even today, still they do it. But especially in the old times, in 1980s and 70s and 90s and 2000, new and improved, the same product. Maybe they changed the box or the writings, and maybe they didn't even change the what ingredient, or maybe they did. But however it is, the message was to get your cycle that is new and improved. And as long as, whether it's true or not, but hopefully the true parts of it, as long as it's new and improved, you'd still be interested in buying that product. Same thing. As long as you advance your passion while you're passionate about something, you advance learning about it, become better at what you're passionate about, or advance the product, whatever it is that you're passionate about. Is it if it's a cake, you add to its taste and the varieties that it's amazing by itself already. Then the passion continues and advances. If you're not, then it just levels off as anything else becomes. Ah. Once you become good at something and you don't advance it, it becomes monotonous, and then you start losing the passion instead of advancing it. So I guess that's what I have to say about that. User 22 says that must be Christoph from Germany. Says, "What's up, Meran? What? All right." Morgan Freelancer says, "HOCD and how to beat pornography addiction. Any advice?" Well, when something becomes a habit, Dr. Schwartz explains that once you have an OCD about doing something, or you have a obsession that leads you to do a compulsion, then you do the compulsion every time the obsession shows up. Then after a while, because you do the compulsion, every time you do the compulsion, you feel good. That good feeling, that feeling thing that you satisfy, you feel good that you did the compulsion when the obsession showed up, secretes dopamine. And because you do that every time the obsession shows up and every time that you feel good feeling, you accomplish good feeling, this dopamine is secreted, and bit by bit, you're looking forward to do the compulsion, not just because the obsession showed up, also because you want to get that dopamine feeling good thing coming to you. And after a while, dopamine is addictive. So you become addicted to this dopamine. So now you're doing it for the compulsion, you're doing the compulsion for the obsession, and also to get the dopamine. And when you do that thousands of times or hundreds of times, then that addiction is no longer the main generator of you doing the compulsion, while it is still important for you, but really it becomes your habit, and you're doing all these compulsion because you're addicted, and then you because it becomes your habit. So the end result of all these is habit. And when it becomes a habit, it becomes more difficult to get rid of that obsession, that OCD. And the way that Dr. Schwartz explains the best way to get rid of, and the most effective way to get rid of something negative that has become your habit, is to relate it to your health. How is it affecting your health? The statistic shows that when they connect that to their health and the reasons that what it does to their health, it helps them tremendously in order to be able to be exercising their willpower and get rid of that bad negative habit. For example, when people are smoking, uh, Dr. Grable has, in his experiments, writes about the cluster behavior, which is a cluster of movements that don't even become aware that you're doing it in order to do one thing. For example, if you're a smoker, you go through a number of motions before you start smoking. You take the cigarette pack out, you open the cellophane out of it, the wrapper, you tear up a part of it, you take one cigarette out, you put it on your lip, you take a lighter, you click it and get the fire, and you bring the fire about 2 inches to your face. And then you start puffing it. And if somebody comes along and says, "Sir, do you recall that you just did this, and it got a fire 2 inches to your face before you did it?" You won't remember. You won't be aware of all these steps that you took. All you remember is that you're smoking. You wanted to smoke. The rest of these steps that you took won't even show up itself. Even the fact that you're taking fire 2 inches to your lips, which is, there's no reason, this contrary to the to safety for your face, but you do that all because you're only focused on smoking. And since it's such a strong, the habit becomes so strong that you won't even notice you're doing these things. The only way or the best way to get rid of the smoking is when you connect the reasons to get rid of the smoking to your health. What's the effect of this smoking to your health is motivate it will motivate you far better than just trying to quit. Oh, I got to do something to distract myself or this and that, so forth. But once you focus about its effect on your health, the survival mode kicks in, and that becomes the prime directive of everything else, and you'll have a better chance to get rid of the negative um, behavior, whatever that is. Now, this business of pornography and HOCD, all it does, it constantly conditions the brain to think about something that is irrelevant to you and you're not interested in. But it triggers, and when it triggers, you forget about the association of the trigger to the actual sex and the sex with women, which is you are interested in. But because the trigger was a male in there, the whole thing becomes a chore. The whole thing becomes something that is not productive in order to deal with the HOCD, and in fact, it causes more harm until you learn that you got to connect it to your health, and then you'll say, okay, it's easy for me to decide because my health more important than the pleasure that I might get from this. And at the time of HOCD, the best thing is not to watch pornography at all. Simple, because when there are associations of triggers, you will misunderstand. You think that you're actually interested in certain activities there, which you're not, but the because you're not focusing on the association of the triggers with the whole concept of sex, but you focus on the trigger itself, and that gives you a false narrative. Which so best is not to watch um, pornography when you're dealing with pictures. All right. Sam says, "Thank you, sir. I really appreciate your suggestion. Very insightful." You're quite welcome, Sam. I now forget what the question was, but I'm sure I can remind myself if I look at it. Chuckster is here. It says 37 male. What was that? Pasadena? Philadelphia? What was it? PA? All right. It says, are you enjoying your tea? That sounds like, again, you're making the same comment. God damn it, Chuckster. The hell with you. What are you talking about? I didn't even pour tea. Bullshit. That was a comment you made last time. No, I did not. And I didn't pour tea. I'm having kombucha, which is ready made, no pouring. You lost on that one. You came here late and you tried to fool me by saying you've been here from the beginning. If you were, you would know that I didn't pour tea tonight. Busted. Uh, is it? Can you guys not hear me? Tell me, guys, can you not hear me? Have I been talking to myself? Could you guys, if you hear me, put a one? If you don't hear me, put a two. All of you, please. because Chuckster, unless he's fooling around, he says there's something wrong with the mic. Oh, cuts in and out. Okay. All right. Is it better now? Can you guys hear me okay? I just switched over to the laptop's mic rather than the expensive mic. Uh-huh. Okay. So is it better now or then was better? Can you guys tell me now or then? Is it better now or was it better then? I'll have a sip of this while you guys respond, please. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Okay. Now it's better. Hmm. That's funny. Okay. Fair enough. So, where was I? Nico Mitushi says, I was married for 15 years. I have two children with me, my wife, and now we get divorced. I bite the house. Oh, you bought the house. We'll finish with papers of divorce, and she will have now a house with her mother, with one mate. You bought the house and you now give the house to her. Is that the law? Uh, I guess would be good to sell the house and divide the money. Or if the children are going to be living with her, maybe you can keep your name on the title and she can use it because it's an asset for both of you. So let's see what the question is, Nico, because I don't see a question here. I'm sure you have your lawyer and he can or she can help you with what the proper decision here or remedy is. As I don't know where you live. Please let me know how old you are, how old she is, where you're living, which country you're watching this program. Ah, Nico is male, 42 France. Oh, bonjour, monsieur. Comment ça va aujourd'hui? Hopefully, it must be morning there, isn't it? No, it's the middle of the night. What are you doing up so late? Okay, Nico, I need a little bit more info as far as what the question is. I understand that you were married for 15 years and you're signing the papers to divorce and you bought a house and that she's going to get the house. But what about you? Why don't you guys share it half and half? Like, I don't know, maybe you get other assets and she gets the house, or you sell it and each get part of it, or she can use it with the children if she's going to be the main domain for the children. I don't know what the situation is, so I don't know what the question is. Nico. Okay, while I wait for some comments or answer, I'll be just right back. Who can tell me what this is? What this is? What this reminds you of? What this reminds you of? What movie did that remind you of? Okay. No, not zombies. Try again, guys. I answer Nico while you guys try to figure out what movie that reminds you of. Nico says, no, I will have the house. She didn't want to keep the house. I don't not like to get divorced. Oh, you don't like to get divorced. Who does? Uh-huh. She wants divorce, but you don't want divorce. Nico, you know, I'm not a lawyer to know a French lawyer, so I don't know what the law are there. And at the same time, I don't know anything about your relationship with your wife. What happened? Why did she decide that? She changed her mind? Is she thinking that life is boring for her because 2 kids and 15 years and same thing she does? Is it somebody else that is giving her flowers and she thinks, oh, I'm so special now? Somebody else likes it. She forgot that you are the same person who expressed your love and attention to her, and this is what life is all about. So I don't know really what has happened to be able to make a good comment. So maybe if you like, I'm not sure if that is something you want to do. If you like to explain to me everything, then you can go on my site, mindthatseekstruth.com, make a 1 hour appointment, and I will throw in another hour. So it'll be 2 hours on the same session. And then you can explain to me what is happening, what she's doing, what has happened. And then perhaps we can discuss it and explore it better one on one together on Skype. Here, there's only limited opportunities for me, and I don't even know what the story is. So hardly I can be of some help. You're not happy about the divorce, naturally. So she told me that she doesn't love me anymore. Okay, well, tell her that happens after 15 years. But you don't have to love me, but you know that we are having a family together. So what about the children? What about your, so what do you want to do? I don't know, how old is she? You are 40 some odd, 40, what, 47, you said? You're 42 years old. Uh-huh. Well, that is something that happens at that age. I guess it's a lot to need to talk about. Well, look, if you want to know how to move on and discuss about how to handle this, that's another story. At age 40, she obviously feels like she still wants to feel hot, and she still wants other men maybe to bring her flowers or ask her out and treat her as special. And then after 6 months, they will be not the same as they were in the first day. And she will learn a lesson that changing a marriage at age 40 or 45 is not the best idea, because by that time you should have had very good foundation for your marriage to keep it going for the rest of the way. Anybody else comes to your life, especially in her life, it will be exciting at the moment, at the first few dates and maybe few months. But after a year, the same challenges, same things that she's not happy with would be present again, only with a different man. So she needs to think about this carefully. And again, I don't know how your relationships were, if you guys spend enough time with each other, or you just simply did not take care of yourselves physically or mentally, and then it got to be a little bit challenging to deal with each other, and it was mostly maybe arguments or whatnot. I don't know really. I'm just spitballing here. So if you like to make that appointment, by all means. If not, these are some of the things that perhaps one needs to talk to her. And again, I don't have enough information about how you guys have been dealing with each other for the past while and what has happened that this um, opinion of hers have been expressed to you in this way. That's my site address that you might want to consider. Okay, Chuckster says, weird question. Do you see Canada eating up on the sea restrictions anytime soon and reversing the Chuck said, are you in Canada? And Chuck says these restrictions are affecting relationships, which is what we are talking about tonight. Mhm. Are you in Canada, Chuck said? I don't remember if you made that clear this time. Oh, Pennsylvania. Yeah, well, unfortunately, we suffer from the same kind of a sickness that is um, attacking everywhere else in the world through their beloved governments. So we have certain serious concerns here as far as the behavior of the government towards the restrictions that are being put. They are not democratic. They undermine the Canadian way and Canadian values. They are fascistic and communistic. And there are many people that are suffering because of it. And these things usually happen when the governments, for one simple reason, when governments start manipulating people, forcing certain kind of unreasonable expectations, and certain actions are being shoved through people's throats, that's when governments have failed to convince people of something. When a nation announces to another nation that I want that resources that you have, whether it's oil or copper or whatever it is, if that country says, okay, you can come and have it, or they say, no, this is for us, we don't want to sell it for nothing. When there's an agreement, then things ends. When there's no agreement is the time that the oppressor builds up an army and attacks that country because it was not able to convince that country to agree with them for what these people wanted. Every time there's a force, that means an entity has failed to convince the other side. There's no agreement. And if there are no agreements, we have learned in our civilized world that things should take place with agreements. If there are no agreements, everybody should have the rights to disagree with something or object or reject something. However, that seems not to be the civilized way that is being exercised around the world. Governments have taken upon themselves to be gods, and they have forgotten that they're human beings, that they've been elected by the people to govern, meaning protecting their rights and protecting the values of that country so these people, the population, can live peacefully, free, just as freedom has been something, a precious commodity since thousands of years ago. People around the world, our forefathers in different corners of the globe, have fought and died to preserve and bring to us this freedom that we enjoy today, including Normandy, thousands of young men and women, and that day perhaps most men, got killed and they lost their lives in order to prevail and win over the fascism and the Nazis, and to be able to bring this freedom that we enjoy today. Unfortunately, seems like history is repeating itself again, and uniformly, the governments of the world have decided to become gods and consider other human beings stupid, that they cannot tell the difference between what's good for them or what not. So when they cannot convince people, they resort to force and manipulations and illegal behavior, and shutting down freedom and the values that we have been all accustomed to. And this is same thing that we are dealing here in Canada as well. So your question, Chucks, the ulterior motive says so close to Canada, but there is a woman I like in Canada. Well, I don't blame you. Canadian women are beautiful. So are women from any corner of the world. Mazakaral says, I wish I was in Canada. Oh, yeah, compared to Australia, yes. But hey, here's no cake either. They don't serve cake here. This is just following Australia. Don't worry. We're just as cruel as what was happening in Australia. He says, I wish I was in Canada. I'm in Australia and I really hate it here. It is a really boring place to be. Forget the boring place, focus on what's happening. We have been knocked down for over 260 days in total. Yeah, everybody knows it and everybody sees it all around the world. It's a shameful behavior, and may God help us all. Chuckster says it's just so egregious. I can hardly believe. Yeah, yes, that's right. Enrageous. Yeah, my glasses not good. Yeah, yeah, it is. It's like out of this world. It's like Twilight Zone. Nobody can understand why the governments, supposed to be so wise, are actually committing to these crimes. I guess, regardless of the title, human being can be gullible and weak. And I don't know if these governments are being forced by some other entity who runs the world, or they're coming up with their own level of stupidity. Who knows? Yeah. Well, guys, it's 1 hour and 36 minutes and 40 seconds right now into this. So I think we've had a good run tonight for a short discussion. It turned out to be a long one. So it's time for me to say I love you all. Thank you very much for being here and allowing me to share a thing or two with you. I hope to have a chat with you soon again with another live stream. Otherwise, hopefully Saturdays at 1 p.m. Vancouver time, you'll join me for another live streaming talking about relationships and OCD and subsets of OCD and so on. In the meantime, thank you very much for being here. I love you all and look forward to talk to you again. Be good to yourself and to the others. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Subscribe on my channel, visit my channel, and go through the videos that you might be interested in. Mind@seekstruth.com is making it one step away to talk to me one-on-one on Skype and discuss what's concerning you. I'll talk to you soon. But we too, like the iceberg, have 1,000 times bigger powers that is not visible, and we must. Why? Is it something we're rambling on and I expect you to accept it? Or is there actually another power within us? Would you come and help me out? Okay. What I want you to do is put your hands underneath my arms and just lift me up. There we go. Okay, now, that's my physical part, right? Same thing. Again, with that. Just want to see if there's any difference. Go ahead. Now, go ahead. Now, this, go ahead when you're ready.
Go ahead.
So you see, this is different than what he was doing, and I'm not really doing anything. You convinced?
Yeah.
So are you guys convinced that there is something other than, thank you. Thank you very much.